Championship leader Martin Truex Jr. and second place Kyle Busch are in a two-man race for the Busch Series title. Truex drives for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is tied with Kyle's brother Kurt at the top spot in the chase for the Nextel Cup. 4 different racers, 2 different series, one simple goal: win the championship. Truex and Busch have ideal role models. Now these two young drivers resume the race to Homestead, hoping tomorrow's stars are watching today. TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Busch Series. Today, it's the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger, live from Dover, Delaware. This 1-mile concrete speedway is a challenging track for the drivers in the Busch Series. Very fast, high bank turns, a narrow racing path. Here you don't have to go looking for trouble. It will find you. Hi, everybody. Our live TNT coverage continues now from Dover as we get ready for the NASCAR Busch Series 200 miles for those drivers this afternoon. Championship leader Martin Truex Jr. and second place Kyle Busch have combined to win 9 of the 26 races this season. But visiting stars from the Nextel Cup Series have won the last 3 Busch races. So today it's those young stars against those experienced and familiar faces that truly do know the way to victory lane. Let's get started with Dave Burns.
Bill, Martin Truex Jr. has been the championship leader for the past 12 races, but his fans are wondering when he's going to win again. Martin, the drought has reached 14 races now. Is Dover the place to change that?
I don't know. I don't think 14 races is too much of a drought, but we've been running good. We ran here last time, and I'm real excited. The car was good last night, and hopefully we'll be good again today. We'll put KFC in victory lane.
Martin Truex starts outside row number 1. To Matt Yoakum.
Kyle Busch second in the championship standings, 105 markers back of Martin Truex. He was first in final practice last night. So was that just a great lap, or do you have a great car for today?
I think we have a great car for the day. The Lowe's Chevrolet is awesome. You know, we got shot back on the side this weekend, so we're looking forward to a great showing here at Dover. And, you know, hopefully that the concrete monster mile here will treat us right and not take a bite out of us. But I think that we have a pretty good car over the long run. We're looking forward to today. Hopefully we can keep it up front.
The monster took a bite out of the Chevrolet back in June, but he still finished 5th. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, as you just saw, Casey Kane just finished Nextel Cup Series final practice. So what'd you learn in that practice that can help you for today's race, Casey?
Well, we worked on our Dodge Dealers car a lot in that practice, and the track's tightened up a little bit. So hopefully, you know, we ended yesterday loose in this car, in the Great Clips car, and hopefully it'll pay off today.
Casey trying to become the 3rd driver to start first and finish first here at Dover in the Busch Series. Dave Burns, back to you.
Mark Martin makes his 3rd start of the 2004 season, the Busch Series, at the site of his very first NASCAR Busch Series victory. Mark, is a win in the cards today?
Boy, I don't know. It wasn't good enough yesterday in practice, but we ran real short runs, so this car's going to be really good on the long greens. I hope we get some of those today. If we do, I think it'll be strong, but it's not real fast to start off with, but you never know. We've made some changes on it, and this is my first race with Cotman transmissions, and we're fired up, ready to go.
Mark Martin starts the 9 car in 17th position. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. I'm never going to play poker against Mark Martin. 43 drivers, 200 miles on a sunny Saturday afternoon in Dover, Delaware. The pre-race ceremonies are next, and you're watching NASCAR on TNT.
The Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger on TNT, is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. By YJ Stinger, the extreme energy drink. Catch the buzz, feel the sting. And by Yamaha, makers of cutting-edge motorcycles and tough-as-nails ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha.
TNT Sports is live in Dover, Delaware, getting ready for 200 miles of racing for the NASCAR Busch Series. Casey Kane, Martin Truex Jr. on the front row, followed by Mike McLaughlin, Kyle Busch, and Kenny Wallace rounds out the top 5. Should be a great day. Right now it's time to take you trackside, and let's join the pre-race ceremonies here at Dover.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would please rise and remove your hats, I'd like to present to you Reverend Dan Schaefer, pastor of the Calvary Assembly of God of Hightstown, New Jersey, for our invocation.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, we thank you for the greatest country in the world. We thank you for Dover International Speedway. We thank you for our sponsors, for our race teams, and for our fans. And we ask you, dear Lord, that soon you would bring our soldiers home. But now we pray for a great race. We pray for a safe race. We pray it in Christ's name. Amen. Shalom.
Thank you, Dan. If you would please remain standing for today's national anthem. Here to sing our national anthem is Tylo recording artist Ashley Bowers and Justin Tapley from the Jackson, Tennessee's hottest country band, 45 South.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? God bless you.
One of the most popular Busch races of the season, 200 miles here at Dover in September. The championship contenders start in the first 2 rows, but there's a field full of talent on their bumper. The command from Dover is coming up.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger, the Extreme Energy Drink. I'm Doug Friedman. This is Joe Pomeroni. We're here at the Dover International Speedway in Dover, Delaware, known throughout NASCAR and worldwide as the Monster Mile. Joe.
Thanks, Doug. This is Race Day, and I want to extend a special greeting and thank you to all our valued retail partners across the country for their continued support of all our Stacker 2 and YJ Stinger products. Thanks for helping make this race day possible. All right.
Let's go racing.
Let's go racing.
TNT Sports is live in Dover, Delaware, getting ready to go racing. Mostly sunny skies, 78 degrees the high temperature this afternoon. Closing in on the command for the stars of the NASCAR Busch Series. 200 rugged miles just ahead for these guys. Tomorrow we double the fun, 400 miles for the stars of the Nextel Cup Series, and our live TNT coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern Time with the Discover Card Countdown to Green. We'll preview race number 2 in the chase for the championship. We'll take you to Wisconsin so you can see how reigning champ Matt Kenseth finds some time to relax and unwind. And we'll also review last Sunday's on-track payback that cost Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Stewart. It's our live coverage of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series tomorrow on TNT, beginning with a Discover Card Countdown to Green at 12:30 Eastern Time. And remember, if you miss the countdown, you start Dover a lap down. Time to get it upstairs to 3 guys that are always on the lead lap. They've been with you for an hour. Now it's time to go Busch Series racing with Alan, Wally, and Benny.
All right, Bill, thanks. They call this racetrack the Monster Mile, but this is a monster with split personalities. There's the good monster and the bad monster. BP, how about the good side?
Well, it's a racetrack that's wide enough that you can pass. Mark Martin is starting 17th. He said, we made some changes to the car. If those changes work, it's no problem passing cars to get to the front, because we'll see cars 2, 3 wide in the corner. That's the good monster.
No surprise we'll have Wally talk about the bad monster. How about it, Wally?
Well,
Daytona, Talladega, Dover. We have a lot of problems with this racetrack with the big wrecks. We've seen it here before in the Busch race and the Cup race. There's nowhere to go. When these guys start crashing, it blocks up the racetrack, and it can make a bad day for you.
And we'll see how it plays out. We'll keep an eye on the championship contenders as well. Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch separated by 105 points with 8 races to go. Let's go trackside and get the command to get the race underway.
Your Vice President of Operations, Mr. Bob Silsby.
Drivers, start your engines.
200 laps on the Monster Mile, a tough test for every driver and team in the field. We'll see who masters it best, beginning in just moments. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger, about to get underway here at Dover International Speedway in Delaware's capital city for the NASCAR Busch Series. 8 races to go in the 2004 season for the Busch Series cars. And now our starting grid, presented by Castrol GTX. Championship contenders Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch on the outside of rows 1 and 2.
And this is the 12th time that Mark Truex Jr. has started on the front row this year.
Kenny Wallace, Stacker 2 car, row number 3, alongside Kevin Harvick. Mikey Waltrip, 2 Busch Series wins here at Dover, row 4, along with Johnny Sauter.
Casey Mears, Nextel Cup driver inside of row 5, and Jason Keller, Strimmy, and Mike Bliss. And Mike Bliss, had a really good race car in row 6.
Tim Fito over the new crew chief this week. He's in row 7 alongside Chicago winner Justin Labonte. Former series champ David Green back in row 8. And Mark Martin, Mr. Busch Series, from row 9.
Go back in row 10. There's Blake Feast, his about his 6th asphalt race ever. Stacy Compton, Greg Biffle won this race in June back inside of row 11.
And Tony Raines always runs well here at Dover from row 12. Kerry Earnhardt making a start in a Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet. He'll be in row 13 today. And Jason Leffler, 3rd in the championship, all the way back in row 15. Tough qualifying day for them yesterday. They're hoping for better in the race.
And Casey Atwood, who ran so well in Richmond a couple of weeks ago, back in row 16.
Derek Hope, former Dover winner on the Nextel Cup side, pretty deep in the field. And you look at some of the final starters getting in on provisionals from row 20 on back. Former champ Steve Grissom. And scratch on the field, Shelby Howard in a Renzi Racing Ford.
Car 35. Here are the cars that failed to qualify. Matt Kobila, hard crash yesterday in qualifying in the 40 car.
Fortunately, he was okay. And Shelby Howard scheduled to start last. They had to change an engine, not going to affect him any, although had he been farther ahead in the field, he would have had to go to the back of the pack for the 1 engine per weekend rule. Greg Biffle on track.
We tried to talk to Greg during the commercial and had some trouble communicating. Let's see if it's fixed. Hey, Greg, Benny Parsons up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Benny.
Okay, you won the thing in June, and you're starting 21st. Can you duplicate?
I think so. The charter car's pretty good. We were real happy in happy hour last night, but you know, it was late. Now the sun's out and it's hot, but I think our car's going to be pretty good. We're hoping for a good run today.
We going to see you on the outside or inside making those passes?
Oh, we're on the inside, 21st.
Okay, the top might work as well. Try it out.
Last race here, so hopefully we'll be all right getting them through here.
I think we're both talking at the same time. Good luck, Greg.
Thanks, my Pete.
That'll happen from time to time, won't it?
Yep.
All right, a couple of pace laps away from the start. Let's check some stories down on pit road. Matt, you're first.
Alan, it's hard to believe, but Kevin Harvick hasn't won a NASCAR Busch Series race since Las Vegas back in March. He was 6th here back in June with this very race car. Now, you heard Greg Biffle talk about that it was almost dark here last night when final practice ended, so Ricky Vires, Kevin's crew chief, they went back to their setup that they started final practice with. They also made a gear change, which a lot of teams have done this morning here at Dover. Today, Burns.
Matt, 3rd in the championship, Jason Leffler qualified 30th. I checked with Booty Barker, his crew chief, this morning about what the problem was, and he said, you know what? We thought we had a decent car. In fact, Jason thought he had a decent lap, but when we heard the time, We were surprised. The car was just a little bit tight, but they were a lot slower than they expected to be. Working in Jason's favor today, he does have a win here in the Craftsman Truck Series last spring. Marty.
Dave, earlier this week, it was announced that Ron Hornaday would not be back in the 2 car in 2005. Talked to him right before he got in the car. He said, I understand Richard Childress's position. He said, they hired me to come and win a championship. We are not a championship team right now. The good thing is that Richard has announced it now because the phone has already started ringing. I've had several people call me about rides for next year. Today, car's pretty good. Hornaday says we might have a shot to win this thing. Alan?
Hornaday coming from 18th on the grid here at Dover today. 1 to go will be the signal as they come to the start-finish line. It is 200 laps around the Monster Mile to make up the distance today. A little bit better than $1 million on the line.
That pit road speed 35. Oh, that's man. Crawling.
That is crawling to these cars that run around at 160, 70 miles per hour. Pit wind to 85 to 90 means you cannot make it on one stop. You're going to have to stop at least twice.
And as we've come to see in a lot of these races, when you make that stop and how long you can run on that last set of tires at what speed might determine who wins this thing.
Because they get 3 sets in this race of tires. So I see guys coming in for them tires.
Something else to think about at this racetrack as we go through the day. This place has been wonderful to drivers looking for their first NASCAR Busch Series win. 13 different drivers that picked up their first career Busch Series win here at the Monster Mile.
Perfect temperatures for racing.
Oh, man, what a wonderful day.
And a good crowd on hand as well to see the 42nd NASCAR Busch Series race here in Dover. So the championship contenders starting on the outside of rows 1 and 2. You've got Casey Kane looking for what has thus far been a very elusive Busch Series win this season for him. He's on pole. And some fast guys mid-pack like Mark Martin starting 17th and Greg Biffle, the June winner here, starting 21st.
And Hornaday starting back in 18th. And, you know, let's face it, he doesn't have a ride for next year, so he needs to put forth his best effort.
How soon will trouble strike today? And when it strikes, how many cars will it claim?
If it strikes early, it'll be a lot of cars.
Here they come down for the start of the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger.
A little trouble there in the back. Somebody may have missed a shift or something. A lot of guys had to take evasive action.
And Truex going for the lead in the 8 car, trying to get by pole sitter Casey Kane. Busch Series, just like Nextel Cup.
Yeah, but don't forget, Kane's on the outside, BP.
5 bonus points if you can lead a lap.
He likes that outside.
Well, he does, doesn't he? Oh, he loves it outside.
Working for him.
Casey Kane leading lap 1 so far, holding off the Truex charge. It's Mike McLaughlin 3rd in the 25, Kyle Busch 4th in the 5, and the orange car is Kevin Harvick. He runs 5th in the 21. Whoa, that was close to the wall. Is that Stremme?
You'll see a lot of that today.
I'll tell you what, Truex is trying again, and he has a terrific run this time on Casey Kane.
And he's got him. So Martin Truex going to collect 5 bonus points toward the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. That'll put a little pressure on driver 5, Kyle Busch, to get up there and lead a lap. And he goes for 3rd place on Mike McLaughlin.
May lose a couple of spots here. We'll see. He can get down to the bottom. It doesn't look like Harvick's going to let him.
And he drove it on in there.
He did that last lap, and that's why I think hurt him, because he slid up the racetrack and opened up the door.
And there's the good Dover. The 2 good fast race cars can go through the corner side by side.
Here's 2nd place, Kyle Busch under Casey Kane, and Busch goes up to the number 2 spot. So your top 2 in the championship run 1st and 2nd in the early laps here in Dover. Kyle Busch had a very frustrating race here at Dover in June. He had some contact with another car on pit road. Then he got caught up in that big mess we saw during what you were talking about earlier, Wally. Then he ended up caving in the grill on the car, and he still came back and, oh, I know, then he had some radio problems. He couldn't talk back and forth with his crew, and he still came back and finished 5th.
Well, you know, the pits here are very difficult, and I think a lot of these guys would rather see the pit stops under the green, because when you get the yellow and get everybody on pit lane, that's when you really have a lot of trouble, guys bouncing off each other when they're entering and exiting their pits.
Here comes Mark Martin up through traffic. That's Tim Fito on the 12. Mark just passed. That's for 13th place.
Started 17th, so he is going forward in the 9 car.
I talked to Tony Liberati. Whoa, a little bobble there getting into the corner. Marty?
Yeah, I talked to Mark before the race, and he said, you know, we weren't that good. He said we were really bad in the morning practice yesterday, but yesterday afternoon the car got much better. Tony Liberati also told me this morning the car continued to come to Mark. Mark made some changes this morning to the car based on what happened in NASCAR Cup Series practice. Mark fairly confident they come to the top 5, but you know, when you talk to Mark, you're never quite sure if he's confident or just downplaying everything. But I think they have a good car that could certainly finish in the top 5.
So Mark has picked up 4 spots in the opening run.
It's Hornaday.
Yeah, Hornaday is going forward in that 2 car. That's for the 11th position. And as I said, he's auditioning for the next ride.
And so Bliss falling back to 12th place, driving for Joe Gibbs. Back here at
another car that's looking really good is the guy you talked to on the pace lap, BP. Greg Biffle is moving up, moving forward.
Let's check back and find Biffle here as he comes through the crowd. That's Biffle in the 60, and he's working on Paul Menard in the 11 for 17th place. Dave?
And of course, they hated to start back where they were, Alan, in 21st. A little bobble there from Biffle. Talked to crew chief Todd Parrott this morning. He said the car just got loose in qualifying. That put him behind the 8-ball, but like you said on the radio to you, BP, thinks he can win this thing.
Hey, moving up as Biffle takes over 17th spot. Martin Truex Jr., the second leader of the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger at Dover. Dover International Speedway in Delaware's capital city, home today of the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger for the NASCAR Busch Series. Now look at this racetrack, okay? It's a mile around, made out of concrete. As we check our Stacker 2 NASCAR Busch Series track back, how much concrete do you think it took to surface this racetrack?
How much?
32,000 square yards of racing surface. It took 6,000 cubic yards of concrete.
That's what I was going to say.
I was going to guess between 5 and 7, yeah. And the concrete is 6 to 7 inches thick.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you are such a smart aleck. Here's your leader, Martin Truex Jr. After 16 of 200 laps, he's out in front of Casey Kane by a little bit better than a 2nd and 2/10. Mike McLaughlin has moved up to 3rd, and Kyle Busch has slipped back to 4th place over the last few laps.
I tell you what, as Truex in the 8 car catches this traffic and tries to put these cars a lap down, Casey Kane is closed up right on his back bumper.
He's got to be a little careful in some of this traffic. It's Kevin LePage in the 72, Shelby Howard in the 35. He's trying to lap now. Dave?
Well, even on a clear track, Casey Kane was making some progress on Martin Truex. Truex and his crew began talking about the lines they were using. Kane was a bit higher. Martin was right on the bottom. So as soon as he gets out of traffic, look for Martin to try a little bit off of the bottom line.
Oh! Almost making contact with Shelby Howard in that 35 car.
I think Martin could run wherever he wants right now. He's been high, low. There he cuts down to the low side. That car's working pretty good.
I think what he'd like is for the lap car in the body in the 44. When he went by him, he was using the low lane, and they got side by side, and it got interesting. Another spot Kyle Busch is going to lose as Kevin Harvick goes by him.
And look at this, Casey Kane on the outside. What a shock going by the 8 car. Folks, the reason we're kidding about that, Casey Kane in the 38 just seems to love to run high on these bank racetracks.
And it works for him. It works for him. Dave.
Casey Kane radioed his crew a few laps ago. Car's a little bit loose, but getting better. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. A lot of guys in the garage area thought that 38 would be awfully hard to beat today in this race. Well, let's see. Casey Kane back out in front after leading the opening lap or so. He gave it up to Martin Truex. Now he's reclaimed the #1 position. The Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger at Dover International Speedway. A track opened in 1969. It's hosted the NASCAR Busch Series ever since the division was formed in 1982. Casey Kane is out in front of this race, second driver to lead. He has paced so far 11 of the 31 laps that have been completed. His lead on Martin Truex growing to 2.3 seconds. Truex, the championship leader, running second. We check the AC Delco points as they run, with Kyle Busch falling back to 5th. And Truex having led a lap today, Busch not having led a lap today. That's 25 points handed on to Truex's advantage just in these opening laps.
And Kyle Busch seems to be having all kinds of problems. He keeps losing positions. He's now back to 5th, about 9 seconds behind the leader, Casey Kane.
And struggling.
Yeah. Obviously. Maybe Marty can tell us what's the problem. Marty?
Yeah, Wally, more importantly, he's losing time on the racetrack to the leaders. He came on the radio about 15 laps ago and said it got bouncy too quick. It's very rough out here. I asked Lance McGrew, do you have a problem with the shocks yesterday? He said, no, we haven't had anything like this, so I don't really know what he's talking about or really how to fix it, but this is a very rough racetrack.
Well, it's probably warmer now than it's been since these cars have been on the racetrack, and it could be air buildup in the tires as in the higher temperature, because as they run laps, the air pressure in the tires will build, and on this concrete racetrack, it's like driving down the concrete highway sometimes when it's uneven.
And by doing that, it's more spring rate in the car, so it's going to make the car more bouncy.
Let's go on board with Kyle Busch and see what the view is like from behind the wheel of this low Chevy.
Best thing to do is listen to how he works the throttle. That really tells you how a car is working.
And you see Michael Waltrip, the yellow car, right behind Kyle Busch as they go by Tina Gordon.
Boy, you can hear he's really playing with that throttle. He can't get aggressive with the gas. When you start picking up the gas, you want to get after it as fast as you can, and he's not able to do that.
And by the way, just so you know, with all of the onboard cameras here at Dover, they built 2 bridges across the racetrack into the infield. One for access in and out of the garage areas. Another they're using, it's basically a hospitality suite, and that interferes with the signal from the cars up to the helicopter that acts as the satellite for the onboard cameras. So
we got away with that one.
That one wasn't bad at all. But right now, the spotter's telling Kyle Busch you have a faster car behind you. As Michael goes in the corner, he goes up the racetrack and gives Michael the groove, because being second in the NASCAR Busch Series points, as slow as he is, he can't do anything stupid.
But he's got a long way to go. 50-some laps before he gets in there and can correct that problem. So he's losing a lot of time on the racetrack right now.
So Kyle back to 6th position, and he's over 9 seconds behind the leader, Casey Kane. Kane moving up on Casey Atwood to try and put him a lap down.
Man, I'm shocked. As well as Casey Atwood ran at Richmond, I thought he would be a threat here, but already a lap down just in a few laps.
That's the 28th place car that's gone a lap down.
38 laps.
Also put a lap down, Mike Wallace, Shelby Howard, Stan Barrett, Kevin LePage, Gus Watson, Curtis Davis, Derek Cope, Justin Labonte. Fast pace in the opening laps for the leaders, Casey Kane and Martin Truex Jr. 40 laps in through the field when we come back to Dover. Dover International Speedway and the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger for the NASCAR Busch Series live on TNT. Casey Kane is out in front of Martin Truex Jr. by half a second, with Mike McLaughlin, Kevin Harvick, and Michael Waltrip now making up the top 5. Waltrip passing Kenny Wallace a lap ago. Let's take you through the field, update you on all the front runners. Dave Burns is first.
Casey Kane was very happy with his car earlier, but on lap 33 he radioed to his crew that the nose is sliding and that he can't turn down. That may be a problem as he goes through traffic. 8-car Martin Truex Jr. trying to pressure in second, but he radioed in on lap 25 that his car is sliding the nose, also making it very hard to pass. Matt?
Mike McLaughlin working on his first top 5 since a 3rd place finish at Atlanta in October 2002. He says the car was tight earlier in the race. Now he says it's also loose on entry. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick hasn't said one word on the radio yet. Trying for his first Dover win. Meanwhile, Michael Waltrip, he hasn't said a word on the radio either. His team says that is extremely good news. When he doesn't say anything, that That means the car is working well. He's in 5th. Meanwhile, Kenny Wallace trying to end a long winless streak dating back to a great run he had at Rockingham in 2002. He runs in 6th. The car was both loose and tight. Dave?
The 2-car of Ron Hornaday started way back in 18th place. He's made it all the way up to 7th right now. Ron, they worked very hard on getting the car good from the center corner off. Seems that they've accomplished that. Marty?
Dave, the march continues for Mark Martin from 17th to the 8th position, trying to look underneath Ron Hornaday. Car started out good, getting a little bit tight. Mark has called for an air pressure and wedge adjustment on the first stop. Dave?
Greg Biffle up to 9th from 21st position, radioing in that his car is just a little bit loose, but obviously handling very well for Greg right now. Marty, back to you.
And the opposite story for Kyle Busch, continuing to go backwards in the field. Started 4th, currently 10th. He said, I need more overall grip. The front end just won't stick right now. Matty?
And running in the 11th position is Casey Mears, making his 7th Busch Series start in 2004. He's calling for a track bar adjustment. He says no grip. He wants to raise the track bar on their first stop, Marty.
Johnny Sauter finished 10th here in June, Matt. That was after he wrecked. Same car this weekend. Car a little bit tight right now. Mike Bliss is in the 12th position, or 13th position rather, started 12th. He is a little too tight as well. He's had on lap 25. He's had 2 top 10s in his last 3 Dover starts. Jason Keller, 2 tight from the center off. The former Dover winner just can't get the car to cut from the middle of the corner off. Tony Raines having a nice run from 24th up into the top, towards the top 10. His car is tight as well. They finished 12th here in June. The car a little bit too tight for Tony Raines. Tim Fedua also tied off. This racetrack obviously very tight here at Dover. He has a new crew chief this weekend, Steve Plattenberger. Those two working very well together. Also the 37 car of David Green radioing in that he as well is too tight. They have a new sponsor this week, United States Postal Service, hoping for more than one race out of those guys. Matt?
Paul Menard runs in the 18th position, just trying to make that race car better, trying to score a top 10 finish. Marty?
We found a race car that's loose, Matt. That was Stacy Compton about 15 laps ago. Now his car is a little too tight. The best Stacy has ever finished here at Dover is 12th. Currently, he's in the 19th position.
All right, there are the lead lap cars, 19 of them, and that's it. A quarter of the race, and Casey Kane has lapped beyond 20th place.
A lot of tight race cars.
And it looks to me like that Martin Truex, the 8 car, who's running 2nd, is struggling now, because here he is, and the other red car right behind him is Mike McLaughlin.
You know what? I think because Casey Kane can work the high side so much better than anyone else, he can get by the traffic faster, and I don't think the 8 car can do that. He needs to work down on the bottom. He wants to pass these guys on the bottom, and Casey Kane just drove around outside of him, and away he went.
Double wide lap cars again in front of the leaders, and those lap cars not racing for position. One is 1 lap down, the other 2 laps down. So Truex looking for some running room there to slice through the traffic. All Casey Kane so far, better than a quarter distance into the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger at Dover. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. 140,000 seats around the Dover International Speedway. Good crowd on hand today. It'll be full tomorrow for the NASCAR Next Out Cup Series 400-miler. Today, Casey Kane getting a good start on his weekend by leading most of the opening 64 laps of the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger. Advantage over 2nd place growing.
Large, almost 5 seconds over Mark Truex Jr. And 8 car is still hanging on to the 2nd spot. As a matter of fact, he's about a second ahead of 3rd place McLaughlin.
Casey Kane best finish this season, 2nd place. That seems to be the story of his year so far on this side and the other side, the Next Out Cup as well. And there's your championship leader Truex, nearly 5 seconds behind, Dave.
The only thing Martin Truex said in the last 2 laps, about lap 60, he radioed the crew saying, I feel a bounce in the right front. That was news to the crew, and they're keeping an eye on that.
It's getting bouncy.
Getting bouncy. Another car's getting bouncy. That tire pressure building up.
Now we're at lap 66. Not having a caution flag. Expect we're probably 20 laps away from the beginning of green flag pit stops for the front runners.
Check this camera out on board the 32 car of David Strimmy.
There he goes down the backstretch into turn 3. Watch the car compress. Slides up, trying to pick the gas up. Comes off of turn 4, back on the straightaway. Now watch when he goes into 1, how those springs compress.
Springs that Wally's talking about over here. These are the shock absorbers we're always talking about. That is the right rear shock absorber.
And this place used to be 5 times rougher than it is now. When the Indy cars came here, they really took the bumps and they really made this place smooth. It's still rough, but it's nothing like it used to be.
We always talk about the rear sway bar, rear panhard bar. That's this black bar down on the very bottom of the screen. And by moving that up or down, they're able to adjust cars.
Okay. So circle the belt there, because we see that come off sometimes.
Rear end, that belt runs a pump that pumps the fluid out of the gear up into a cooler and cools that fluid.
See the spring rubber is tucked in that left rear spring as well to try and help the compression rate. And that's just unending movement of that rear end housing up and down in the shocks. You can see the movement there.
And
the
that
springs.
tank that you see is the oil tank. That's where the oil for the engine is stored, the reservoir for it.
The Hershey bar.
So that is David Stremme in 22nd place, running 1 lap down. There's the exterior on Stremme, about to be overtaken by Kevin Harvick, the 4th place car. Dave?
What position do you have him running it now in 23rd now?
Stremme, I have him in
yeah, he started 11th, and the car has been not very good for him at all. Radioed early on that it was loose in the center, a little tight off the corner. I'm not sure you can tell all that from everything you were circling in there, could you?
No.
Okay.
But you can tell by the way he's running the racetrack, Dave. He's really running up high, and a lot of cars are passing him.
And having to be very gentle, feeding the power back in.
He and Blake Feast in the 87 car, they've had a heck of a battle for about 15, 20 laps now. The 87 car, I think, as I said, about his 6th race ever on asphalt. He's a dirt track racer in the sprints and midgets.
How many races on concrete?
First. Well, he might have, I guess it's probably the first race on concrete.
Yep.
I think he's faster than Stremme right now, but he's trying to pass it strictly on the inside. He's trying not to run into the 32, trying to learn something.
Negative on the first race on concrete. He won an ARCA race at Nashville back in April.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the concrete surface there.
There you go. How about for 2nd place? That's going to change hands. Mike McLaughlin in 25. Charging around. Truex in the 8. So new 2nd place runner. Problem for them. 5 seconds behind leader Casey Kane. Matty?
See his wife Katie on top of the pit box. She is laughing, cheering her guy Mike McLaughlin on. He was trying to search around and find a better line, Alan, that would help that free-on entry and tight through the middle condition that he's experienced. We've got caution on the racetrack.
Debris. What's it? Turn 2, did I hear? Turn 2. And the first caution of this race comes out at lap 74.
Uh-oh. And the pits are going to get busy. And we talked about earlier, I mentioned, I think these guys would rather come down pit lane under green conditions, because now, well, you know what, though? We got, what, 18 cars, so it won't be as bad. Only 18 cars are going to come in this first time.
But we know that cautions breed cautions. Get all these cars. They were strung around 1 mile in the racetrack. Caution flag. When the green flag waves, we'll have all these cars jammed up nose to tail again.
And double file all the way back.
Double file, so yeah, it's...
I'll tell you what, people like Kyle Busch sliding back, ill-handling car. Truex beginning to struggle a little bit with that 8, a little bit. Welcome chance for an adjustment on those cars.
There you see the racetrack you talked about when they ground the racetrack down, those white spots on the track.
Took those bumps out?
Yep, smoothed it out quite a bit.
So first yellow of the race for Debris comes out at lap number 75. And here come the leaders toward the opening of pit road to make the first of what will be at least 2 pit stops in this race. Pit road open. And here we go. Casey Kane, Mike McLaughlin, Martin Truex, Kevin Harvick, Michael Waltrip, the order of the top 5 coming in.
And I tell you what, pit stops here are an adventure. Marty, coming to you.
Yeah, BP, solid run for Mark Martin. Started 17th. He ran up to the 9th position. Mark kind of made the call from the cockpit on the changes he went on the car. They're going to take a pound out of the right front tire. They're also going to make a wedge adjustment, trying to loosen up Mark Martin's car. The car just way too tight for Mark right now as he hits his stall. Matt?
Mike McLaughlin comes to a stop. The wedge wrench goes in the back window. They're going to make a chassis adjustment to try to fix that tightness center, but also also try to help him up off the corner. He just can't get in the throttle when he needs to, Dave.
Leader Casey Kane already in with a track bar adjustment on the right side. They'll change 4 tires, slight air pressure adjustment, a little tight into the corner. That's what they wanted to fix. He's off pit road first.
Harvick going to gain some ground on the pit stops, looks like. And a long stop for McLaughlin in the 25.
Yeah.
How about Kyle Busch, Marty?
Yeah, Kyle came on the radio and told the guys, finally described exactly what was going wrong with the car. Tight from the center off, and it gets worse the more he goes through the corner. They went up on the track bar 2 rounds, trying to free up the 5 car just a little bit.
All right, so the leader off pit road is Casey Kane. Harvick out second, Truex third, Michael Waltrip fourth, Kenny Wallace fifth, then Ron Hornaday sixth, and Mike McLaughlin all the way back to 7th on the stop.
Well, the 25 lost a lot of time there. What happened? But
Looked like a lug nut. Harold Holly is all upset. Man.
Well, pit stops have been a struggle for this team from time to time throughout the year. They've fallen from 2nd to 7th now.
Harold's hot.
The Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger on TNT. It's brought to you by Best Western. Wherever NASCAR takes you, Best Western is there. Best Western, the official hotel of NASCAR. By Trim Spa X32, your dream body diet pill. Trim Spa BNB. And by Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement.
Okay, well, the good thing about half the field being lapped down was there's a lot of room in the pits.
Yep.
Bad thing is, like we talked about, PP. But look at this. I mean, it was almost like each guy had a box in front and behind them open.
How
which
good is
great.
that?
That's great. But now they got to start side by side.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only downside.
And here they come. The now 19 cars on the lead lap. Paul Menard was the lucky dog at the last caution and rejoins the chase for a good finish.
It's like Jason Leffler, 0 down on the inside.
How about that? 3rd place driver in the championship lapped early.
And you see Harvick, 21 car, diving to the inside, trying to take the lead. What was that?
Oh, it's something shot up the racetrack. Probably a spring rubber is coming back. It's right in the middle of 1 and 2. I don't know what it is, but.
And for the lead, side by side, Harvick 21, Kane 38.
You know what, Joe? Casey car works better after about 7 or 8 laps. I wouldn't get too nervous about that.
You know, if you're a Casey Kane fan, don't hit the panic button quite yet, because Wally's right. In 10 laps, if he's going backwards, then we'll start worrying.
For 2nd place, Truex Jr. by Casey Kane. Here's our Aaron's pit summary. You see McLaughlin, the big loser on the round of pit stops there.
And, you know, it's so hard to pass these race cars.
Debris, caution. Caution for that debris.
Well, that's what that debris we were talking about a minute or 2 ago. Must be something serious, because
spring rubber or something.
It looked bigger than a spring rubber, but
that came out from one of the cars, and they're going to go clean it. And somebody hit it and scattered it.
Yeah.
So now they're going to go out and pick up the pieces. 2nd caution of the race. This for debris.
Oh,
there
man.
it is.
It's like a piece of bar.
Wow.
Whatever it is, you're going to go get it. Jason Leffler's going to get the lucky dog, and we're going to get a break-in under the caution flag here at Dover. Monster Mile, Dover, Delaware, and the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger under caution for a 2nd time for debris on the racetrack. That is Tim Fedewa's car just leaving pit road with obviously a full tank of fuel.
Yeah, and he hit the debris.
And now we'll show you where the debris came from that he hit.
Okay.
That's the 00 right there.
Red and white car, 3rd in line.
Right behind Harvick, and it'll shoot out right here. And goes up the racetrack. You'd think that's maybe a drive shaft loop or something like that?
Can't imagine what that is. I don't know.
How would the loop come off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe because it's bouncy. I don't know. And he was a lucky dog.
We will get our ferocious
I hope we
team
can get
of pit boys on the story.
They can hold it up on camera, maybe?
Well, it's in a cleanup truck now.
I think we should send somebody out there.
The
Like
cleanup
maybe
truck?
Marty. Yeah.
There's a cleanup truck, yeah.
So Kevin Harvick third different driver of this race. We saw Harold Holley's reaction to the tough pit stop Mike McLaughlin's team had a minute ago. Here is his pep talk to his team afterwards.
Give him that one. Everybody tighten up. We're going to win this damn race. We ain't putting up with that no more. Y'all get it together. Get your head in the ball game. All right, we're sorry about that, but we'll make it up to you on the next one.
There you go.
That's what you need, and a crew chief right there.
And he's got the driver pumped up.
Yep.
He said, Mike, I'm sorry. We let you down, but we'll do better next time.
Rocky running 7th. First lap car to the inside. The white machine is Ashton Lewis in the 46, 21st place.
Gotta hold your breath on this, don't you?
I'm telling you. Tell you what, these first few laps, they're an adventure for Casey Kane in that 38 car.
All right, this just in. Dave has the answer.
I'll hold on a sec.
Thank you, Martin Truex. Out in front, he goes by Kevin Harvick. New leader, driver 8, Busch Series variety. Okay, Dave.
Okay, driver 00 Busch Series variety. According to crew chief Booty Barker, would you believe the fan off the radiator? He says we don't use it anyway. I don't know if he was telling me the truth or not, but that's the only explanation that he offered.
Electric fan.
Wow.
I
don't think that was electric.
Well, it's a plastic fan. But, of course, the motor is encased in plastic, but... Wow. Well, they don't need it unless on the caution flag. If they have a long caution flag, the driver would need to turn on the fan. But anyway, question answered.
What if it's a fan shroud? Around on the radiator? No, whatever. That's the answer. Dave checked it out. We'll go with it. We always trust Dave.
Good work, Dave.
Thank you. Here's the race for second place. Kevin Harvick now trying to hold off Casey Kane. Dave, have you discovered more for us?
You always trust me, but I always trust Booty. Whatever Booty Barker tells me, I believe.
All right, that's a good call, too.
Here comes Casey.
Except when you're asking about fuel mileage, maybe.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the race.
There he goes.
Man, he just...
I mean, it just takes 6 or 7 laps, and then all of a sudden he gets those buildups right in those tires, and look out.
And he just flies by those guys in the middle of the corner.
So he's 1.2 seconds behind Truex at lap 90. Let's see what kind of closing rate he's able to get over these next few laps.
And Truex, the first run, his car was pretty decent for about 25, 30 laps. And then the 38 was dominant.
Especially in traffic.
1.2 the last lap, 1.0 now the difference between the two. And by the way, the cleanup crew, racetrack crew that went out to pick up the debris reports, it looks like what's left from a piece of a fan.
Well, there you go.
Got one off the pace, turn 2.
That Tony Raines?
Tony Raines.
Oh, an engine problem in the 74 car.
And caution. Taking no chance on liquid or debris perhaps being dropped by the 74.
Yeah, Casey Kane would not want to relive that horror again of hitting fluid.
So the third caution is out, and Tony goes straight into the Busch Series garage. David Stremme will be the lucky dog at the caution. He'll come back around onto the lead lap.
Putting some cars back on the lead lap.
And I know you said cautions breed cautions, but I don't think debris was what you had in mind.
No. Restarts have been, or the start and the restarts have been very clean today.
Yeah. So there's Stremme.
There's a lucky dog.
He will come back around and rejoin the lead lap. There'll be 21 cars chasing victory here at Dover.
He's going to be envied.
You think so?
I think so.
We'll take a break. The Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger at Dover International Speedway on TNT, under caution for a third time.
Wally, did you see that monster on that commercial? What was that?
You know why they had Alan do that? Because they didn't.
Alan?
Oh, here we
go.
They
didn't need to use that much makeup.
That's Alan?
Yeah, it looked like Alan to me.
Somehow I had a feeling this would come up sometime today.
He's really working the hair, though. Doesn't he work the hair a lot?
Yep.
What hair there is, I mean...
No, let's don't go there now.
Yeah, better be quiet.
Are you done yet? Can we talk about the race now?
Not really.
That was you and all that makeup and green face and
yeah.
Let's.
Man.
Yeah, it was a process getting it put on too.
Come on, they didn't put that much on.
105 to go. A lot of cleanup. We'll be back. Coming to the restart in the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger. The leaders Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, Kenny Wallace, and Michael Waltrip.
Green flag.
Rounding out your top 5. First lap car, 18, J.J. Yaley. Black machine in the inside lane. He is in 21st place. Under this caution flag, only a few guys pitted. Jason Leffler came down pit road. Casey Mears, Paul Menard, Johnny Sauter, David Green, and Mike Bliss took on tires. And then on 1 to go, David Green topped off the fuel with 103 laps to go.
And remember that, because that may come into play before this thing is over.
Marty, are they thinking about possibly going the rest of the way on fuel?
Well, they're going to gamble, BP. They are 6 laps short from here if we do go green from making it all the way on fuel. I just talked to the crew. They said, why not? We got a new sponsor this week. We're going to try to do everything we can to win this race.
Well, I think that was a good gamble. Good move.
So David Green back in 19th place. Matt, you got more on a fuel strategy?
Casey Mears gave up a strong run. He will restart 16th. They also pitted, and the reason they feel like they're 2 laps or less short of making it the distance, John Wolf made a chassis adjustment, and they're going to roll the dice, and they're going to go for it. He feels like they're going to be able to do it.
All right, so that's the story on Casey Mears in the 1 car.
Man.
You see the 37 car. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch, the 5 car, Mark Martin in the 9. That's the battle for the 9th position.
And up front,
here we go.
Surprise, surprise.
Finally came in for him. Casey Kane, outside move. Goodbye.
Just needs a few laps to get going on that fresh set of tires.
Yeah.
So Kane will lead this race for a 3rd time today. Has led the most laps so far. This will be 61 of the 103. Now we'll see if Truex is able to hang with him this time.
It doesn't look like it, because last time by he was on his back bumper, and this time he's 15, 20 car lengths behind.
Oh, car on the wall. Oh, here we go. Man, that was close.
J.J. Yaley in the 18.
Good job by those guys.
Oh, and they're still trying. The green is still out. Cars everywhere.
Caution's out.
And J.J. finally wisely moves up next to the outside retaining wall to give open racetrack all those cars behind him.
Tell you what, a lot of those guys did a good job there. I couldn't tell no McLaughlin was back there, but
yeah, he's got some problems there.
Yeah, he smacked that wall pretty good.
Those wheels don't look like they're both tracking north at the same time. Trouble off turn 2 looks like this.
LE18 car right in front of Biffle. He goes up, gets loose, and goes up to save the car, the wall.
Now that, yeah. The Hornaday did a great job just missing that.
Oh, look at Kyle Busch. Whoa, 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 whoa. Brakes. Nice job there. Mark Martin.
Mike Wallace on the apron of the racetrack.
Here we watch another shot, and boom, in the wall. Thing is, if the yellow didn't come out, these guys still have to go hard, but really a jam up here.
And you see all the debris that was flying down on the inside. I'm sure that was brake rotors, because when these cars slap that wall with the right front tire, it usually breaks the front brake rotor, and which is a cast iron, and all those pieces go flying around. And NASCAR wisely, they threw the caution flag so they can pick that stuff up, because that'll kill a tire.
Okay, 95 laps to go. Do you pit here for the final time?
Absolutely. Now's the time, yeah.
All right, pit road's open this time. Let's see.
I think it's going to get real busy. And another thing, you're talking about that rotor. It's the last thing you want to run over. It's a hot rotor with your tires.
Kenny Wallace stays out. 4th place car does not pit. Most of the other front runners do. Matt Yoakum.
And Ricky Fires on top of Kevin Harvick's pit box. The Reese's guys on the wall waiting for him to get to his pit stall. Now, the air pressure adjustment they made on that last stop freed the car up way too much. They're going to try to back up on that on this stop. 4-tire change for Harvick. Today,
leader Casey Kane in track bar adjustment again. Car just a little bit tight. They'll take on 4 tires and fuel. They won the race off pit road last time. This Phil Horton coach crew trying to do it again. They'll put the left sides on. Here comes Casey Mears. It's close.
I think the one car beat him. I don't know. I mean, look at a different line here.
Marty, go ahead. Yeah, no choice for Kyle Busch, second place man in the championship, as to whether or not they would pit. He ran over a lot of debris. You saw him miss the wreck. Car very tight for Kyle still. Pound in the right rear tire. And again, 2 rounds up on the track bar.
Trying to free the car up.
And check the camera at the scoring line exiting the pits.
Looked like the one car beat him from here, but
he did.
He did.
He had stopped earlier, so this was just to top off. I'm sure that was fuel only in the one car.
And you see that 37 car? Yep. Came out in 3rd.
Just took a little splash of fuel to top it off. We got a few more guys.
What was that on the backstretch we just missed when we went to the pit shot? Something fell out of another car.
Got a few more guys did not choose to pit under this caution. We'll review it for you when we return to the Monster Mile. TNT is at Dover International Speedway with the NASCAR Busch Series Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger. And the Stacker 2 car is now the leader of the race, Kenny Wallace, along with 2nd place Mike Bliss, 3rd place Stacy Compton, and 4th place Jason.
18 car, he goes up and hits the wall, and he comes down across the racetrack about right here someplace. You're going to start see the pieces, the black pieces. That's the brake rotors. It starts disintegrating and coming apart. That's a huge chunk goes down. There's more pieces flying all apart.
Flying, that's scary.
People hitting it everywhere. So how about the strategy call on Kenny Wallace's team not to pit?
Well, he's got to pit again.
Right, not to pit there.
Oh yeah. Well,
don't think. Well, who knows?
I don't think it's going to work.
No, I don't either.
We'll see. Kenny, the leader. The previous leader, Casey Kane, is back in 6th place on this restart with Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex behind him. Up front for the lead, Mike Bliss with pressure on Kenny Wallace.
Wow, look at Bliss just close up on the back bumper of Kenny Wallace's car.
Now they're on different pit schedules. Mike Bliss stopped at lap 94. Kenny Wallace last stopped at 76.
Yeah, 20 is on much better tires right now, and it shows.
And he might be thinking about trying to go the rest of the way in the 20 car. Marty, Kenny, do you think maybe?
Well, Steve Addington says they can go all the way. The problem is Mike just came on the radio. The guys, I might have a tire going down. Remember, there was a lot of debris on the track, so these guys who did not stop might have hit some of that. Bliss so far staying out, though.
Boy. That would be rotten luck for Mike Bliss if that were the case. Apparently they're looking at Mike's left front to see if he's got something going down there or not. And how about the strategy on Kenny Wallace's team to leave him out there, Matt?
Last pit on lap 76. Are you done pitting, or are you going to have to come back again? Are you rolling the dice, Chris?
Well, I didn't hear you, but I'm sure Vinny is not liking this. But I feel like Matt Boylan up here. You know, the guys back at Bill Davis Racing Engine Shop do a good job with our fuel mileage, and we're about that close. So, you know, we got to go for Stacker 2 and Bill Davis Racing, and we get a couple more cautions, we'll be fine.
He told me the way their season's gone, he had to roll the dice. They need to make something big happen. They've had a lot of good runs here the last 4 races. Nearly won 4 races ago here.
So they're going to go for it.
Man, that'd be something big.
Needing a couple
gas tank.
Yeah, no kidding. Exactly.
But they obviously, the way he talked, they need some more laps of caution to get there.
Yeah, Bliss fell off the 23 car Kenny Wallace. So
87 car Blake Feast slowed dramatically down the backstretch. Oh, no, careful, boys.
Trying to get to the inside. that far to the inside, so you get a roll down.
The engine, look, yeah, we've got an engine problem in the 87 car. Tough break.
There you go. We do stay under green.
For some reason, the water temperature, even with the fan on, was near 70.
Well, that means there's something wrong. So Blake Feast will go to the garage area right there.
And the 20 car is way off the pace now, so he must have a tire down.
So that's the race for second. There is Mike Bliss. And look at the left front.
Yep.
Oh, what a heartbreak there. Marty?
Oh, you just feel for these guys, Alan. Bliss just came on the radio and said, we got a flat, guys. What happened? How did that happen? Bliss very upset, but obviously he probably ran through some debris that he did not see on the racetrack. And indeed, it is the left front tire. You can see virtually gone on the left front tire for the 20 car. Tough break. These guys could have made it all the way on fuel. They had a decent chassis today, a little bit tight. They'll change the 2 left side tires and send them back out on the track.
No luck at all for Mike Bliss. There's the leader, Kenny Wallace. With Bliss falling off his back bumper, it's opened up a lead of 2.5 seconds from Kenny to second place Jason Leffler. Behind them, the picture has changed for the first of the guys with fresh tires off of pit road.
And the 21 car, Kevin Harvick passed the 38 of Casey Kane that has just driven away from him. And, you know, maybe Casey, back in all this traffic, doesn't have the dominant car that he had once before. Right now, Casey Kane is almost 5 seconds behind Kenny Wallace.
So there is the guy that's the farthest forward of the fresh tire brigade, if you will. Casey Mears in front of him was a gas and go on that last caution. And the 00 of Jason Leffler, Dave, the second place car, did not stop under that last yellow.
Yeah, well, that's because they stopped on the debris caution lap 92. Put on 4 tires, made a chassis adjustment, and added fuel. Remember, they were down laps and not running well at all. They got the lucky dog pass and then pitted, as was said, on the previous stop. That's why they stayed out here, got their track position. So they can go to the end, too, Alan. Okay. They say they can go.
Thank you. So up to second place for Jason Leffler. Leffler, a one-time winner so far this season. Nashville race back in June. And looking for win number 2. I talked to Jason yesterday morning here at the track, and they were struggling with their race car some, but he felt like they'd find a way to get on top of it and get up front. And by golly, they have. Now, David Green, remember we talked about him topping off the fuel on the last caution and coming off pit road like third of the cars and being in great shape, right? Remember you said, remember that?
Right.
Not that good anymore.
Oh, what happened?
Because he had to come back in later under that yellow flag and change tires. When he came in for the gas and go, locked the brakes up, flat spotted the tires, is the report from pit road.
And you saw Jason Leffler take the 00 by Kevin Harvick and move into the 3rd spot.
So David Green is all the way back to 18th BP. And there's your leader, Kenny Wallace, out in front of his sponsors race, the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger, with 77 laps to go.
Next weekend on TNT, Tom Hanks and Imagine Entertainment present a dramatic journey.
Houston, you are go for the moon.
From the Earth to the moon, 12 dramatic stories. See it all weekend long starting next Friday at 9 on TNT.
That should be some fun.
From the Earth to the moon.
One of these days, Alan.
To the moon.
Pow!
Pow! To the moon.
Kenny Wallace, the race leader of the Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger here at Dover International Speedway with 69 laps to go. He's got nearly a 3-second advantage on Casey Mears, with Jason Leffler 3rd, and now Casey Kane 4th, and Kevin Harvick back to 5th. Driver 38 starting to roll, but Kenny has really put some distance on the pack.
He sure has. Right now, he's 5 seconds in front of Casey Kane. And again, Casey Kane's in 4th spot, but I really think that's the car he's going to have to beat.
Yeah, and it's going to be, here's the key right here, is how good Kenny Wallace gets through traffic. Casey Kane gets through traffic like he did earlier in the race. He's going to catch Kenny Wallace pretty quick.
There you see Casey Kane finally across the start-finish line as he tries to close in on the back off. How about that? Casey Mears was the fastest car that time by.
Trying to close in the back of Jason Leffler to challenge for 3rd place. Martin Truex Jr. hanging right behind him. as we look at Kenny Wallace, who has yet this season to have a top 5 finish. If you'd have told me at the beginning of this NASCAR Busch Series season that Kenny Wallace wouldn't have a top 5 finish by the time we got to September in Dover, I'd have told you were joking.
That's hard to believe. But he's leading the right one anyway right now.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a good run, I think your sponsor's race would be the best place to do it.
Talked with Kenny yesterday. He spent most of this past week when the NASCAR Busch Series was not racing out in St. Louis, where he and his wife Kim are from. Spent some time with family, spent some time hanging around the St. Louis Cardinals, his beloved Cardinals.
He loves the St. Louis Cardinals. Thinks they're going to go all the way this year.
Said he got to go take some batting practice on the field with some of the Cards.
I talked about Casey Kane, the 38 car, being the biggest threat for Kenny Wallace. Here he comes. 3rd spot with him in it.
And that's a surrender move by Leffler.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this has been inevitable.
He's going to surrender another one, too. Right here to Martin Truex.
Faster car coming through. Thank you. So Kane to 3rd, Truex to 4th, Leffler to 5th, and by the way, Kyle Busch running 12th. So as they run, another good points day for Martin Truex Jr. in his bid for the NASCAR Busch Series championship. Truex led a lap, led 35 laps, in fact, earlier in the race. Collecting some bonus points there. What an incredible season this young man has had driving this 8 car. 4 wins. Bristol, Talladega, St. Louis, Nazareth. His average finish this season 7th. 19 top 10s in 26 races, 13 top 5s, and he's finished every race. No DNFs. Meanwhile, his championship rival Kyle Busch is struggling back there in 12th place rather.
And we reported earlier that he kept talking about his car was more bouncy than it had been before.
And this came across his team's radio just during that last set of pit stop exchanges.
Okay.
Well, what he said was crew chief Lance McGrew talking to Kyle Busch, saying that Robbie Loomis, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, came down to their pit stall and reported that that was the same thing Jeff experienced in Nextel Cup final practice earlier today. Said it felt like there were 4 basketballs on the car.
Bouncing
as tires. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how close Alan got.
Take 2.
Just to let you know, Loomis stopped by a minute ago and he said Jeff complained exactly the same thing you're saying, that it felt like you're riding around on 4 basketballs. Hey, we're going to do what the leaders do here, guys. We're getting pretty close to halfway, so be alive.
Well, you did pretty good, Alan.
Pretty good, Alan.
Real accurate.
Thank you. Marty?
That was very good, Alan. I'm very impressed by that. I heard it live, and they have not just been able to get this car to loosen up for Kyle all day long. This can be a frustrating place, Wally. I know you probably had frustrating race cars here at Dover, but Kyle says the race car just will not loosen up. Whatever they do to it, it's still not making the race car loose. Even on this one, still tight again for the 5 cars.
Yeah, the problem is if you're a little bit tight, when you go in the corner, if it's tight, then you're tight all the way through the corner and you can't get on the throttle. So it takes forever. And that's the frustrating part. When you're tight here, you just can't drive the car because you can't get after the gas.
And you heard him in the gas and jumping out of it and back in it again in that last corner.
And when he's jumping out of it, he's trying to get the car to turn so he can get back in the throttle.
So Mark Martin passed Kyle Busch for 12th place and leaving the 5 car, and Kyle back to 13th. Kenny Wallace leading Casey Mears by 2.7 seconds. 56 laps to go in Dover.
Coming soon to TNT. 2 hours, 2 cases, 2 great dramas. Monday nights belong to TNT. Watch Law & Order at 10, followed by Without a Trace at 11, beginning September 27th. Monday nights on TNT.
And live on TNT, it's NASCAR from Dover, Delaware. Kenny Wallace in the 23 is leading the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger. And he's leading by 1 second less than he was when we went to the commercial break, mostly because he's caught some pretty heavy lap traffic he's trying to work through. Let's take you through the field. We have 20 cars on the lead lap. We'll update most of them here. And start with the race leader and Matt.
Kenny Wallace working on his first top 5 finish since August 2002 at Indianapolis Raceway Park, where he finished 5th. Remember, they're still questionable whether they can make it on fuel. They're gambling it. They're going to roll the dice. He said nothing about the race car since the last pit stop. Meanwhile, Casey Mears, the 1 car, his car is starting to go to the tight side, Dave. They're also going to run it to the finish.
The 8 car of Martin Truex Jr. started 8th on that last restart, has made his way all the way up to 3rd. But he said his car was already tight, especially in the center on lap 123. So still battling a tight race car. Battle for second, guys.
Yeah, but somebody may get boxed in here. Right now, it's Casey.
And Truex has been so impressive the last few laps as he's passed Casey Kane and now trying to battle for the second spot as they go by Justin LaFontaine in 44.
This ain't going to work. There you go. I thought they were going to go 3 wide off 2. There's no way.
All right, so Truex to second. Casey Mears to 3rd. Casey Kane right behind them.
Wow, he gobbled up a lot of track time right there. Those guys fighting side by side. Casey Kane really came up on him.
Let's continue going through the field. Dave, how about Casey Kane?
Casey Kane restarted in the 6th position, has made his way up to 4th. The only thing he said on the radio about 20 laps ago, he said the right side air pressure is too low, guys. He did not elaborate on that. The 60 car of Greg Biffle restarted 11th, has made his way all the way up to 6th. On that pit stop, they made a wedge and air pressure adjustment to fix a loose in, tight center off condition. Pretty good run so far for Biffle this afternoon. The 0-0 car of Jason, I've never called it the 0-0 car before. The 0-0 Jason Leffler. That car, remember, did not get fresh tires like the rest of the guys. He's been passed now by the faster cars that took on 4 tires. Matt?
And Mike McLaughlin making a great run. Restarted 11, has climbed all the way up, almost knocking on the door of the top 5. His car still a tick on the tight side. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick, no doubt about it, his car is really tight. He told Ricky Byers, if we get one more stop, you've got to do something to free me up, Dave.
2 car of Ron Hornaday, the nose was shoving according to the driver. They made an air pressure adjustment, changed 4 tires. He's picked up 1 spot from restarting 10. Marty?
Dave, not a lot of conversation from Mark Martin on the radio. His last transmission car is good. They have lost track position. However, he's in the 10th position. He has 45 wins. The first one came right here. Stacy Compton on his last stop took no tires. That is showing. He restarted 3rd. Currently, he is in 11th. The car extremely tight for Stacy. Matt?
And Michael Waltrip, he is just hanging on, he tells his team. The car just way too tight. They should have been a little more aggressive with their air pressure adjustment on the last stop, Marty.
Not a word from Kyle Busch on the radio. Spotted Ricky Hendrick trying to help him find a different line to get his way up through the field. He is 13th right now. Came into the race 105 behind Martin Truex. Stands to lose a lot of points tonight. Pressuring him from behind is Johnny Slaughter. His car is a lot better, he says, than it was at the start of the race. Just a little bit tight for the 26-year-old, but happy with the car right now. David Green came down pit road, had to stop twice because he flat spotted the tires. As Alan talked about, chattering the front tires. Car just won't turn. They finished 3rd here in June. They will not have as good of a result tonight. Timmy Feedaway, his car is tight as well. They finished 9th here in June. Car getting tighter the longer Tim runs. That's the problem, just having trouble hanging on to the car. 22 car of Jason Keller said, I couldn't turn this car in a 50-acre field. An old racing cliche for the car is too tight. They were a little too free to stop before it came down. Made too many adjustments to the car. Now it's too tight. Alan?
There you go, 17 cars on the lead lap as Kenny Wallace has put 18th place Paul Menard, 19th place David Stremme, and 20th place Aaron Fike a lap down. Kenny with nearly 3 seconds on Martin Truex Jr. and 39 laps to go. Can he hold on to the lead? Does he have enough fuel to make the checkered flag? The Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger on TNT, is brought to you by Bombardier ATV. See the Outlander Max, made for 1 or 2 riders. Bombardier ATV, follow no one. By Miller High Life, to live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. And by Just for Men, more than a hair color, it's the Rejuvenator, and spray in 5 minutes looks natural. Kenny Wallace, our race leader, with 31 laps to go. Today's Just for Men hair color rejuvenating moment of the race. The decision by his crew chief, Chris Rice, not to pit at lap, with 94 to go when all the other front runners did. It put Kenny Wallace into the lead, and he's held on to it from then to this point.
And if this thing goes green much longer, BP is going to hear from his crew chief, watch your fuel pressure gauge.
And he's
Keep
going
an eye on it.
And he's going to reply back to Chris Rice and say, fuel pressure is dropping. I'm coming in for gas.
Mark Martin moving up, taking 7th place away from Jason Leffler. That's Mark in the 9. I want to go back to the Kenny Wallace thing just for a minute. He stopped with 124 laps to go. He's had 17 laps of caution since then.
I don't think that's enough.
Again, I don't think it's enough either. But, Matt, what are they saying now?
BP Chris Rice told me he's still confident that they can go almost the distance on fuel. His calculations, he says, he should run out as they come out of turn 4, coming to the checkers. We'll have to watch and see if he's correct.
Well, that's as almost as you can get it and still win this race.
Yep. We'll see.
So if he's a turn off, he's not going to win it.
4th place now. Mike McLaughlin in 25, working on Casey Kane in 38.
I'll tell you what, Casey Kane's 38 car has really lost the handle the last few laps.
I think they just got a set of tires that's not agreeing with them. Or pressure's. Whoa!
Hang on, Mike. Casey Kane led this race 3 times for 63 laps, pretty much dominated a lot of the running until that 94 to go set of pit stops when the other guys didn't pit and put him back in traffic. And he hasn't been able to come back through. McLaughlin making a rally after losing positions. He got up to 2nd place just before the first set of pit stops for the leaders. And let's see, that was at lap 75 and fell from 2nd to 7th on those stops. He's been digging out of that hole slightly ever since then. But since he's gotten into this car, Mike has done a very solid job for the Renzies and the Marine Corps.
Done a really good job.
Especially for a guy that's been pretty much out of a regular racing job as far as a full-time ride for the last couple of years. 25 laps to go. Kenny Wallace leading by 2 seconds over Martin Truex. Our final break under green flag conditions. We'll see if he's got enough fuel.
At Stanford tonight, 7 Eastern, all part of Big PlayStation Saturday.
That'd be a good ball game.
Oh, USC, boy, they're powerful.
That's tonight on TBS. Here at Dover now, 18 laps to go, and there are your top 2. Martin Truex has come from 5 seconds behind Kenny Wallace to 0.7 of a second down. Now 17 laps to go. We know Truex has got fuel to go to the finish. We also believe he's got a whole lot better handling race car right now than Kenny's older tires. Dave?
And Kevin Bonamanian wasn't really sure about that this morning when I talked to him. He said, we've got a setup in this car that we don't have any notes for. We've never tried it before, but I think it's where we need to go. This car has been loose all weekend long, and the notes on my pad today writing down tight, tight, but adjusting. So they got that car corrected the other way, and now they've given him a car that Martin Truex can possibly contend for the win with.
Last time Truex won 15 races ago, Nazareth, Pennsylvania, late May.
And Truex has got to keep his eye on that car just in case it does run out of fuel. He doesn't want to run over it.
The fade continues for Casey Kane in the 38 as Mark Martin goes by him for 5th.
Changing gears.
And the 1 car is on pit road. And what happened to Kyle Busch?
Looks like he's got some damage on the right front there.
There we see it.
Oh, crunch. Stacy Compton. Now, got a tire rub. He was out of the gas too when he hit him.
And back to the front runners. Michael Waltrip, we heard him just hanging on. Well, he's fallen a lap down now to the leaders. He was up in the top 5 earlier. And the word on Casey Mears, a flat right front was the reason for the unscheduled pit stop. Just caught a glimpse of him coming off the pit road. Well, there it is. Top 2. 13 laps to go. Kenny Wallace, Martin Truex Jr. racing for the win. One definitely with enough fuel on board to make the checkered flag. The other trying desperately to hang on to the win, and he may not have enough gas to get there.
I tell you what, I have been impressed with this 23 car. Yeah, he has stayed out there, and he has been awfully good. Dave, how about the 8 car?
BP Wally talked about the 23 running out of fuel, the 8 having to watch it. They radioed to Martin Truex in the 8. Watch out, we think the 23 might run out of fuel. Don't get into him if he slows suddenly.
Right there, he's too close.
There he
needs to get
goes.
by.
Kenny Wallace up the hill to the leader. 12 to go.
He just came on the radio yelling, it is out. The guys are up on the wall. And lap 189, mark it on your scorecard.
11 laps short.
Gas only, guys, get him out of here. Gas only, get him out of here.
Thing is, he's going to lose probably about 4 laps, 5 laps, maybe even more now. Of course, like I said, it always runs out of gas at turn 4.
At the worst possible
It never
spot.
runs out of gas going into turn 3.
Fortunately for Kenny, Dover's one of the places where you can coast all the way around. But unfortunately, top 5 finish, goodbye. Never mind the win. So 10 laps to go, and Wallace in for a very expensive couple of gallons of fuel. You think the price you pay for gasoline's high?
Yeah, that Sunoco fuel is very expensive, what he's putting in his car now. Finally.
And it's going to take a while. Well, they may get lucky and get it refired right away, but usually it takes forever to get these cars restarted. It'll fire, and then it won't, and then it'll fire, and it won't.
And chug.
Hey, I'm impressed.
Yeah, that was a pretty fast one, considering.
Stacey Compton has come down pit road with a flat tire after the contact with Kyle Busch.
Let me guess, left rear.
And so he's also got compounding problems. He's got to have a pass-through penalty for being a little too fast as well. So here it is, Martin Truex Jr. now with a 5-second lead over the now second-place car of Greg Biffle. And with Kyle Busch struggling, Truex could be on the way to the biggest championship lead that has been enjoyed all season in the NASCAR Busch Series. Kyle Busch having fallen way back in the running order. Where is Kyle? He is 10th now. He's picked up a couple spots with these guys that have had problems.
Yeah, the 1 car, Casey Mears having the flat, and Kenny Wallace running out of fuel. Kenny Wallace is now 2 laps down in 20th position.
Mark Truex came close to winning the June race here. He led 75 laps of it. He was beaten off of pit road by Greg Biffle with 55 to go and couldn't pass him back. Well, this time he's ahead of Biffle in these final laps. And the only thing he's got to worry about now is this lap traffic.
I don't think he's going to worry about it too much. He doesn't have any pressure behind him, so he can take his time getting through this traffic.
Now, the only concern he has now is green, white checker.
Yes.
In case a caution flag was to come out and it run past the 200 laps, well, all those lead lap cars would close up right on his back bumper, and then have just a couple of laps to go to decide the winner.
And as fast as Biffle has been in this last segment of the race, his car suddenly coming alive. I wouldn't want to have him on my back bumper for a green white checker.
And Mike McLaughlin back in 3rd spot, also a very good race car. So easy Martin.
Here's where you're screaming at your spotter.
And these guys move over. And Bono, the crew chief, is telling him, look, you got a 5-second lead. Easy does it.
There goes Bliss up the hill.
2 to go when you get here. 2.
Oh, I see why he's running so hard now. He wants to put that 5-car lap down. Kyle Busch is right in front of him.
Little psychological thing there on your championship rival, you think?
I don't think he's going to get to him.
No, it doesn't look that way.
2 more laps here at Dover. Whoa, Biffle, trouble, 60's off the pace.
It's like he's out of gas.
Out of gas, folks.
Uh-oh.
Man, oh man, 2 laps to go.
Well, I wonder if Truex could run out.
It looks like anybody can.
They told me, someone told me in the garage here this morning that the Chevrolets that Truex is driving seem to be getting better fuel mileage than most of the other brands.
Hey, I said he wouldn't get the 5, BP. Could be wrong.
Final lap, white flag is up. Martin Truex Jr. with plenty of room over second place Mike McLaughlin.
I think he's just going to ride now.
And now he doesn't have to worry about green, white checker once the white flag is displayed.
Well, before the race, we talked to him about the, Mark Martin spinning around. The caution is out, but the white flag is already waved, and so the race is over. Martin Truex Jr. wins. Flat right front.
He's got flat. I'm not sure if that happened. Well, may not, but maybe it happened down a spin.
See, right front tire was where the Stacy Comfort.
I've always wanted to win here.
This is kind of a home race for him.
Yes, he's from Vienna, New Jersey, and this track just about a 2-hour drive from where he was born and raised, where he started his racing career. He had more starts on this track than just about any other. He had a lot of NASCAR Busch North experience here, made his Busch Series debut here. A lot of family, a lot of friends in the grandstands for Martin Truex Jr. And he picks up his 5th win of 2004 and puts on a big hurting to Kyle Busch as far as the championship is concerned. Matt?
Big points day, but Bono, you told me this morning this team wanted to win here for Martin, his home track. This is a special one.
Yeah, this is like Loudon to him, you know, his second home or first home, or I don't know, but I'm not worried about the points. Like I said, that thing drives me crazy, that points racing. But I told Martin at the beginning of the year, if we just go out and run top 5, and then we'll win, and then, you know, run top 10, you run top 5. So just this winning here for Martin, you know, our first or second race here with Martin, we ended up wrecking with a few to go, but thought we'd had a chance to win that one. And this one's just really special. I mean, it's just huge, man. We won for KFC, you know, all these different colors in KFC. We hadn't won for that one. And Martin gave me his glasses. The last time he gave me his glasses, he said, wear them all race. And that's why I was wearing them at St. Louis. That's why I was wearing them at nighttime, because he said, next year, don't take these off, because I don't really like wearing sunglasses.
Keep them on all the time. Guys?
Thanks. A victory lap for Martin Truex Jr. here at Dover International Speedway with his first win at the Monster Mile.
So let's see what happened to 9 car. Of course, he's going to get booted by...
It just gets a little bit loose underneath Fedewa.
Well, he did, didn't he?
Jason Keller escapes. Justin Labonte escapes.
That's where he got the flat. He locked that brakes down and blew the right front.
Well, listen to the cheers.
Tell you what, pretty impressive doing donuts and all that stuff with one hand.
So Chance 2 Racing's part owner is in victory lane. Dale Earnhardt Jr. somewhere in that mob, waiting for his driver to arrive with the winning car. That is the scene in Dover International Speedway's victory lane. Time for the Reese's celebration. Martin Truex Jr., I think, about to get a bath.
You're so correct. Dave, are you dry?
So far, BP, and the stage dive for Martin Truex Jr. And Jr. is in there somewhere, I'm sure, to stay fresh for tomorrow's race. This is great. The team lines up on the other side of the car. The driver gets out the driver's side so we can interview him, and then it all goes away because now I'm out of position over here. But it's about Martin this afternoon, and Martin came in here, what you call your home track, just a couple hours from home, wanting to win bad, and you did it.
Yeah, that's some losing streak I had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I said it was 14. You said that wasn't much, but you wanted to get over that, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We've been trying hard. We've been fighting all year, and we've had some tough times and fought back, and just shows how good these guys are. Bono does an awesome job leading them, and I told Bono wear these all day. Last one we had, he won my sunglasses all day, and he wore them all day. We won again, but man, just awesome team effort. Our car was real good at the start. It got tight. We kept adjusting on it, and that last run, I just took it real easy on my right front and waited for it, you know, everybody to back up to me, and I just can't say enough about these guys. KFC, this is our last race with them, and real proud to get them in victory lane, and just having lots of fun, man. Awesome day, awesome day.
Tell us what winning here at Dover means, Martin.
It means everything to me. This is where I made my first Busch start, and I've been coming here for years. Came here for years with my dad's car and struggled, and we learned a lot. We got noticed. We got a ride, and Dale Jr. and all these guys, I can't thank them enough for this opportunity. Everybody at DEI, they build awesome cars. I'm just it's just a thrill to drive him, and man, we want it over. Don't get no better than this.
Very good. His 5th win of the season at a monstrously special track. Marty?
Dave, the frustration, though, with Kenny Wallace, and did you, first of all, think you had enough fuel to make it all the way to the end?
Well, definitely, yeah. I mean, we would have never stayed out if we didn't think we could have made it to the end. My guys said we could make it to 2:02 with those cautions we had, and tires were not an issue, so I was running as quick on 10-lap tires as I was new tires. So, you know, we were an easy top 5 car today. We were running 4th when we decided to stay out, and we thought that would give us an opportunity to win. And we rolled the dice, and we came up, what, 6-7 laps short. But, you know, the Stacker 2 Chevy's been running good this year. That's the 2nd race we gave away. We gave away one at Nashville when we were leading. And, you know, we had some loose lug nuts on the right front. But all in all, I've got a great crew chief in Chris Rice, probably one of the best chassis man out there, and an awesome, you know, sponsor. So I had to get in all my commercial plugs before we go to Kevin Harvick.
Now we're going to go to Dave. Kenny finishes 20th today. I don't know who Dave is with. Dave's with someone.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the owner of the winning car today, and you stayed dry there, which is something you've learned over time. But how big for Martin to win here today?
This is awesome. This is great for this whole team. Just real proud of Martin. I told him yesterday, I said, just gain points, get all the points you can get, be smart. And, you know, he got a good opportunity there with the 23 run out of gas. I think Kenny had a great car, and hated to not see him get the finish he wanted. But it's a good race for us, the Kentucky Fried Chicken and everybody. I'm just real proud of my team, and we're going to keep going. He's going to win that championship.
How about a Red 8 in victory lane tomorrow?
I'm working on it. We're real close to what Martin ran. He tried some stuff that we did in practice this morning. It helped his car, and I think everybody's just really, really tight. I listening to all the guys in the Busch race. I mean, just really, really tight. Nobody can get their cars returned. That's kind of the way mine was, so I was a little worried about it, but maybe not so much anymore. Just want Martin to keep on doing good, and we'll keep doing good. We'll try to get 2 8s, 2 championships this year.
Learning from each other, Alan.
So Martin Truex Jr. with the biggest championship lead of the season in the NASCAR Busch Series with 7 races to go. 156 points over Kyle Busch, who wound up finishing 10th in today's race. Back with more after this. The Stacker 200, presented by YJ Stinger on TNT, is brought to you by Stacker 2 Offender Free. Real people, real stories, real results. By Propane, Propane Exceptional Energy. And by Aflac. Ask about it at work. Final results of today's Stacker 200. Martin Truex Jr., 5th win of the season. Mark McLaughlin came up with a great 2nd place run.
How about Mark Martin still finished 8th?
After the spin, yeah. And Kyle Busch losing ground in the championship with a 10th place effort.
And I was told Mark Martin had a flat right rear tire caused that spin.
Greg Biffle running out of fuel late, wound up finishing a lap down in 14th. Kenny Wallace ends up 20th after leading the most laps in this race. And some of the other drivers, Mike Wallace with a late pit stop. He needed a splash of fuel at the end. We saw Stacy Compton's contact with Kyle Busch that cut the tire down. And some of those out earlier in this race today. So 7 to go for the NASCAR Busch Series. They're off next weekend. They race next at Kansas Speedway 2 weeks from today. And tomorrow,
we'll be there.
Yes, we will. Tomorrow on TNT, 12:30 Eastern, NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from Dover, presented by the Principal Financial Group. We start with Discover Card Countdown to Green, and hope you'll be with us. World's most dramatic police chases is next. A Red 8 in victory lane at Dover today. Martin Truex Jr. winning at his home track.